I'd like to thank Long Beach for inviting the union here today. The union isn't always invited to all venues to speak, and when we are invited, we try to make a good showing of it. You know, since 2000, I was president of Local 13 in 2000. Since then, we've done a lot of good things on the docks. You've seen our warehousing on the docks has been significantly reduced. We have 24-hour gates and pier paths. We didn't have that prior to it. And there's a much more efficient dock operation than you used to see. And there's a much, much larger movement now to go to better efficiency. The union is doing its best to try to help out with that. You know, 25, 30, 35 years ago, you'd see someone like Matson Navigation would bring in a difficult ship like one of their railroads, and you'd see a couple of the clerks and a couple of foremen and a crane driver go out with the superintendents and the company personnel, and they'd figure out, hey, what's the best way to unload this ship? And within about a half an hour, they have this thing solved, and within the next 3 days, you'd see this ship unloaded with the skill and the speed, probably one of the best in this country. Over the past 10 years, things haven't always been that way. However, I think over the past 3 or 4 years, the union's making a big attempt to try to say, look, we see the technology, it's here. It's not just coming, but now it's here. If there's one job left, we want it to be an ILWU job. But on the other hand, come to us. Ask us what we can do and how we can help. When you have a lot of foremen, a lot of clerks out there that have 40 and 45 years experience, you're talking about a wealth of experience that needs to be shared along the waterfront. Last week, I had the opportunity to go out, and when we do talk about patrolling the docks or doing VA duty, and I was thinking, what am I going to say when I get up there? You know, I'm going to have the experts here, the economists, I'm going to have some of the carriers, I'm going to have shippers, I'm going to have the railroads, and everyone's got their own expertise, but what can I say that may add something just a little bit different and be a little more interesting? Well, one thing for sure, the questions are going to come later about the contract, and that's one thing that I'm not going to discuss. However, what I can discuss and what I really want to talk about today is I was looking up at a couple of the cranes unloading the ships, and when I'm not an officer, that's what I am, I'm a crane driver. And you know, when you're up there 140 feet in the air, you get a little different view than everyone on the ground gets. As I talk about efficiency, one of the things I look at, and after being in Europe and Asia, I've noticed these significant differences between our terminals and terminals overseas. You know, one thing that we do is we have a huge competition for space. Not everyone in Europe and Asia has this competition. You have transshipment in Asia. You have what they call perimeter staging areas in Europe. But we have a lot of competition with truckers that go deep into our terminals, and they're competing in space with our longshore truck operators as they take cans to and from the vessel and do yard and rail operations.